How's it going, everyone? This is Kevin. Today I want to bring along with me to put the Sony A7S III to the photography challenge. So let's jump right into it. So I've been asked before if the Sony A7S III is good enough for photography, mainly because this camera is only 12 megapixels when it comes down to the photography side, since this is more of a video-centered camera. Some people are really curious to know if it's something that's worth for just maybe having it as your actual hybrid camera to take some photo, but mainly video, but that way to see if it's worth it to still be able to take photos with it, or if it's better to have a camera like my Sony A7 IV that I usually use for photography and some video. So I kind of wanted to treat my Sony A7S III as a hybrid camera that I would normally use as if I was using with my Sony A7 IV to take photos, and then obviously do some videos as well with it because it is a more video-centered camera. But I want to be able to use it as a hybrid kind of camera to take some portraits and do some photography here in a bit around the area that we're at, and just see how good, if it is, you know, for just using it for photos, since it's only a 12 megapixel censored camera. So I normally wouldn't use this camera for more of the photography side, but I tend to use it a lot for my thumbnail photos because I'm usually using this one for the video part, and then I just kind of set up to take some photos. So I think 12 megapixels is more than enough. Obviously I've used it for my thumbnails, but could it be enough for maybe a little bit more professional type of shooting? So we're gonna go ahead and put this to the test to see if it works out. That you might notice that it's a 12 megapixel sensor or not kind of photos, if it matters or not. Obviously with the compression of YouTube, it might kind of not notice it as much, but I think it's something cool to put to the test, since I know people want to know if they should maybe just invest in a Sony A7S III, since they might be more video centered and want to have some photography, but they want to make sure that you have a good amount of things for photography when it comes down to this camera. So we're gonna pair it up with the 35 to 150 to take some photos with this. Maybe do the 20 to 40 as well to do a little bit more wider kind of portraits and videos as well. So we're just gonna go ahead and take a couple portraits first. Then I'm gonna try to do maybe some, you know, scenery photos that I wanna take, see if it captures the detail that I would want, and see if it's, you know, something that I would recommend for people. Because the one thing that I love about my Sony A7 IV is that switch to go from photo to video a lot faster. Because with the Sony A7S III, you only have the dial, which you have to hold down that button and then physically move it around to get it to whatever you want. So for me, that's a little bit more slower, but it's still usable. So that's the only kind of thing that'll be the difference from the Sony A7 IV. I wish they would have had it already with the Sony A7S III, but at least they're kind of keeping it around because they're doing it with the Sony A7R5. So that's just pretty much it. So let's put these two and two together and take some portraits of my wife. So we got the Sony A7S III with a 35 to 150 by Tamron, and we're gonna use an aperture priority because to me with this one is more like kind of shooting it faster, and aperture priority is good enough with the settings that I usually do. So we'll go ahead and take some portraits of her. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So I'm gonna try to do like this style. I've been liking shooting some landscape portraits. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Boom. Yeah, so do like that. I'll kind of do from back here a little bit. Almost ate it. So let's go a little bit closer. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna kind of keep it over here sitting down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Work it. Move it. There you go. There we go. Perfect. got this section right here. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go up closer. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Work it. There we go. So pretty cool little setup. I mean, I think you'll be fine if you want to take some photos with it. The quality is going to be perfectly fine with the 12 megapixels. Highly doubt anybody's going to notice. The only difference is you probably won't be able to crop too much, so you want to make sure that you frame your subject or whatever you're taking photos of the best that you can, because you won't have much of an option to crop in for later on. So that's my only input when it comes down to it. But having this bad boy is kind of nice, because if I want to zoom into that building over there, I can just like take a little bit of photos and bam, you know, like that's my framing. I'm not going to be cropping in too much of it, but mainly for Instagram, if anything. But nowadays, I honestly don't even crop for Instagram. I crop it in Instagram, but let it be however I wanted it to be for whatever I want to post, whether it's for these YouTube videos, because I like to have them a certain way, or once I go to Instagram, I'll crop it, but Twitter doesn't really do much of the cropping, so it's up to you. But I think the 12 megapixels is pretty nice because you get some awesome video with this camera. Like the A7S III has been my favorite video camera. With a photo, obviously not the most, I never use it as often as I would with my Sony A7 IV, but it is a one camera shop if I need to do it, just like how I've done videos of my Sony A7 IV being my only camera setup with my 20-40, if I want to just have one camera, one lens setup. So if I ever need to have more video, but some photo, I would be, you know, taking this with me. No hesitation whatsoever. To do some street photography, you can kind of do that too, because bam. You know, you just take the photos that you want to whenever you want, set it up. Right now I even have it on the manual mode, but like I said, the only difference is you have to kind of press it down, move it. I wish it was like the clicking one, because the manual thing right here for like exposure compensation, that's where you press and you can set it up. I wish they had that where you can click it on and off to be able to just leave it faster, but you win some, you lose some, guys. So the cool thing is, I mean, if you want to do street photography with this, I'm planning to make an actual video of street photography with this for like a POV style, but I mean, as much as it is a street right now, you know, being able to just take some photos, pretty good stuff. So, I mean, eventually I do want to do a street photography with this camera setup, since a lot of people have oddly enough asked me if the Sony A7S III is good for photos and video, which obviously the video part they know, but more if it would be for a hybrid kind of setup camera. So I think for the photo part, you're pretty golden too. Oh, is it gonna make its way over here or not? Let's see it, let's see it. So I'm gonna wait until it passes by. There you go, guys. If you want to do some car photography, it's got you covered. It shoots fast enough. You good. You good. All right. Anyways, but just for my final thoughts, I do think this is a good hybrid camera to use if you want to have some photo with mainly video. Would I recommend you going and buy this if you want to do a 50-50? Probably not, because the price point of this camera to the Sony A7 IV, it's like about $1,000 difference. Does that make sense for you? Probably not. But if you want to have a camera that has really great 4K settings for slow motion from 120 frames per second, 60, and then 24 without any crop, well, you know, this is a good setup. Sony A7 IV is phenomenal, but obviously you have a little bit of that crop of the 4K 60 into an APS-C mode, but then you have the full frame for the 4K 24 frames per second, for the 1080p 120 frames per second. So each camera will give or take with the, you know, the lines of everything. With cameras, when it comes down to the Sonys, is if you want to have more video centered, the S line is the better for that. The R series are more for photo. The A7s are more for just basically the hybrid style. So hopefully that helps you out to understand which one would be better. But the ultimate question is can you do some good, you know, pro photography with this camera setup if you only have this one? Well, yes, you can. So there you go. Hopefully the examples helped you out and you enjoyed this video that we were able to do today. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.